Guys, I've been doing pretty good. Not looking at Craigslist, not looking at Facebook Marketplace. I've not bought any more cars. I told myself I've got too many cars. I gotta start downsizing. No more cars. It seems like somebody forgot to tell my girlfriend that.
Chalk.
Trade secret. Sundays we don't work on cars, we play video games, drink beer, and don't do any of this stuff that's stressful and difficult. However, once in a blue moon, your lovely girlfriend Kate spends 2.5 years finding the car of her dreams, buys a 1968 Fairlane 500 fastback from Virginia, and then has it shipped 2,500 miles, and it happens to arrive on a Sunday evening. You are looking at the new pride and joy of the Wagadoo fleet, because that right there is something special. So we'll break it down tomorrow and tell you all about it. So first things first, we got to see what's underneath all that dirt. So Kate's out here with the pressure washer getting some soap on this thing. We're gonna get some of that dirt knocked off of it and see what we're actually dealing with. So I think the first thing we're going to do is just kind of do a walk around, and I'm going to show you guys some of the stuff about this car and tell you a little bit about the history of this one in particular. I haven't actually gotten any time to really look all over this thing, so you guys are going to be learning some stuff with me. But my lovely girlfriend Kate has been looking for this exact car for the last 2.5 years. So this is a 68 Fairlane 500, which is basically the same car as the Torino GT. The trim is a little bit different, but this is what she was looking for. She wanted this body style in this year range, and after finding a bunch of them that were rusted out and really clapped, she found this lovely timepiece. This thing is really a lot better than I thought it was going to be. So her plan is to basically make a street car, a nice Sunday driver, something she can take out and enjoy. This one was a gentleman's project in Virginia, and he was kind enough to sell it to her. It's been in storage the last 15 years, so it is not run in 15 years. And after thinking about what our priorities need to be, we decided the first thing we need to do is get it running, because then once we can move it, we can work on everything else. But obviously, you see we've got our stock hubcaps on the front. On the back here, actually got some real deal center lines. Got all of our trim on this side, all of our glasses there. The windshield is broken, but we've got a line on another one already. Got that rust patina. So we're gonna go ahead and see how much of that we can get off. I already kind of tried a spot right here, and it looks like we might be able to get it to a shine that's presentable, but those will probably have to be recoated at some point to really get her prettied up. We're missing this piece of trim right here, but it's in the car. Window is propped up with a piece of wood, so we're gonna have to do something there, but I don't think that's gonna be too big a deal. This little bit of trim right here is also in the car, but most of the clips have been popped off, so we're gonna have to do something there. All in all, she's very complete. It's got a little bit of something going on in the hood here. Looks like either something got closed in it or the hinge failed and it kind of buckled the hood. So we're gonna see if we can get that nice and straight again and do something here. But this is, the best of my knowledge, original paint. So let's take a look inside real quick. Door panels are all nice and complete. The interior is all here. Look at that headliner. It's actually awesome. It's great. Back end goes for miles. Seat's in great shape in the back. Front one not all that bad. Carpet's not all that bad either, but you can see where the sun has been sitting right there on the hump. So might be a situation where we're able to dye that back to the way it needs to be instead of replacing the whole carpet. That's possible. So the dash is a little rough. We'll get around that. And then very hard to see right there, that is 67,348 original miles. So she's actually not seen all that much road, so I think it's going to be pretty easy to get her back in good shape. Let's take a look at the motor. So under the hood we have the original 289. Now something that's interesting about this 289 is the 289 family became the 302 motor. But in 68, the very early beginning of the year cars had 289s and the rest of them in 68 had 302s. So this one is a 289. Don't let the air filter fool you. But that's what's going to remain in this car. Later on down the road, after some other restoration has happened and we've done other things, there might be room for that to change and Kate might want to grow into that. But for now, this is a perfect power plant for this car to get moving, get driving, and teach Kate some of the stuff that she's going to need to know to maintain and work on this thing. This is a perfect learning motor. It's very affordable, although not terribly performance oriented. I think this thing made sub 200 horsepower, but that'll be plenty to get this thing back on the road, hopefully. Sometimes in this hobby, instant gratification is important too, because it reminds you of why you do this stuff. So, what we got here, you got these beautiful center lines. Those are original center lines, and that's a 275 on there. Up here, with our factory hubcap, it just doesn't look quite right. So this morning, we managed to go out and find some centerline lookalikes at a really reasonable price with fair tires on. So we're going to try and slap those on, see what she looks like. So we know the fit. Considering those are real centerlines, and those are a replica centerline, they actually look really similar. I think will make the car look pretty sweet. However, the tires that are on there are freaking tiny. They don't fill the wheel arch at all. So the brand spanking new tires on the original rims are going to go on there. Believe it or not, those are both 14s. So we're not going to do that today. We're going to put the full-size wheel back on, and then sometime this week we'll go and swap them out. We'll show you when we get that done. For now, this motor has been sitting for 15 years. And you can't just go and crank on a motor that's been sitting for 15 years unless you want it to be broken. So first things first, we're going to drop a battery in there and see if lights work and things like that. And then I'm going to take that carburetor off. We're going to clean the carb, pull the spark plugs, throw some Marvel mystery oil into the cylinders, make sure that she moves by hand, and then we're going to do a regular tune-up, plugs, wires, cap, rotor, and then we're going to put her at TDC, pull the distributor, and then we're going to prime the oil pump and see if we can't get oil up into the top end. If everything's good, we're going to hit the key and see what happens. So we went ahead and pulled all the spark plugs. All 8 looked almost identical, and minus the fact that they're a little bit worn, I mean, it's got a good color to it and everything. It looks like it was running yesterday. No rust, no oil contamination. So at least when it parked, it didn't have bad valve stem seals or anything like that. No moisture's gotten in there, so that's a really good sign. However, in an instance like this where the motor's been sitting for so long, all the old timers will tell you to use Marvel mystery oil because it's the jam. So I like to put it in a little pump jug, a little piece of hose on there. I'm going to be squirting it into the cylinders just to lubricate the cylinder walls and the rings as we turn it around by hand to make sure that it's free and find our TDC so I can pull the dizzy. There we go. There's one. There's 2. Do the same thing for all 8. For the previous owner, Riley, that sold us the car, had been coming out for many of the years that it was in storage and cranking it over by hand to make sure that it never seized. So I have no reason to believe that it did in the short time that it's been sitting since he stopped doing that. But this is the moment of truth. As long as it turns over and everything's good, we're good to move forward. If it's seized, obviously we got new problems, but that shouldn't be the case. So let's find out. So that turns over nice and easy. Obviously we got the plugs out. but I feel really good about that. So we're gonna go ahead and try and locate our TDC mark and put it at TDC so I can pull that distributor. One of the things that we did notice, something that we didn't plan on, is the coil actually was leaking a bunch of acid out of it as soon as I pulled the wire out. So it probably would still fire, but we're not gonna take any chances. I happen to have a brand new Excel one sitting in the garage from another project. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw this at it as well, and that should get us back on track. But the main thing is, we have it at TDC, and I need to make sure that I put this distributor exactly back where it was after I prime the oil. So for now, that's gonna be the goal, is get the Dizzy out, try and get oil in this thing and prime it. We got the distributor out and we got the valve covers off, and we're gonna try and prime the oil. We've got the old oil in it, we're gonna go ahead and try and prime it, and if we get oil on all the rockers, we know that we're good to go. We're gonna drop that oil, put fresh oil in, but we know that something's in place when we start cranking. But we need to make sure that we get hydraulic pressure in all those lifters, otherwise you can cause all kinds of damage. So that was the whole point here, and this is the most important part of trying to bring back a car that's been sitting for a long time, so they don't wipe out the cam. All right, so it primed up flawlessly. I've never had one prime up that easily, to be completely honest. So we went ahead and swapped out the coil, got the distributor dropped right back in where it was. I marked really finely where it was so I could try and put it back exactly where it was. That way we've got the best chance of starting it on the first try. So we get the valve covers back on. We're gonna put the ignition back together. We're gonna put a new cap and rotor on it. We're gonna put new wires on it, put new plugs in it. And then everything except for the carburetor has been dealt with, and we're one step closer to hitting the key. So we're gonna put all that back together, confirm our firing order, and then we'll pull that carburetor off and throw some cleaner through it, see what happens.
Oh, yes. Talk to me, D. Where are we at, bud?
So it would appear that Riley either ran this thing fairly recently or rebuilt the carburetor before it went into storage. So I opened it up and everything looked brand freaking new with brand new freaking gaskets. So I don't trust the gas tank just because I haven't checked it yet. So we're gonna be running off of a bottle feed right here just to put fuel into the system so we can try and test fire it. Everything's going back pretty well, so I'm gonna go ahead and put the spark plug wires on, and then I mean, we're gonna hit the key. We're pretty much right there. Try it again.
All right, guys, a little update. So we were not getting sparks. What we did was pulled the cap off the Dizzy, went ahead and checked the points, reset the points to about a 17.017. And that's what it's supposed to be at. So got spark, we're seeing spark.
No, we didn't. We set it to 0.017 like the book says. That didn't work. So we did the hot rod thing.
Oh yeah.
And I used a piece of laminated cardboard that I would think properly emulated the exact thickness of a matchbook. Real hot rodders know.
You know what he said. So we're gonna give it a shot.
Try again. Try again. Try again.
Alright guys, what you hear behind me? 68 Ford Fairlane 500 with a 289 small block, running under its own power a couple days after getting it here. So
Runs.
she runs. She gave us struggles the whole way, and there's still a little bit of adjustment that needs to be done, but she's running. She sounds good. Let's see. She's out the back. Hey. She's a runner.
Danny, give us a red.
Hey guys, say something about the thing.
Never question my loyalty. I'm not a blue oval guy. I'm a Chevy guy because it makes my life simpler. However, a couple of things. It came 2,500 miles to battle me in the driveway, and it was not the easiest of primes and starts, but I gotta admit, you hit the key and it starts every freaking time. That 289 is a dynamo, and I'm impressed. I'm really freaking impressed, and I want to give a big shout out to Riley, the guy that sold us the car, because the guy took immaculate care of it, and I am enthusiastic to continue to search the car and find out what else there is for us to see, because everything I've seen so far has given me nothing but hope that this thing is going to be a remarkable project and a great street car that I'm going to feel safe letting Kate drive later. I think we're going to throw fuel in the tank, and I've got a fuel filter on it. We've actually got 2 fuel filters on it. And we're gonna go ahead and dump some gas in it, and we're gonna try and hit it on its own fuel pump, and we're gonna see if we have fuel pressure and whether or not gas comes out clean. If it does, then we know that everything runs. We can close up the hood, put the air filter back on, and the next step, bleed the brakes off, and hopefully be able to take it for a test drive. What I can see inside of the tank kind of looks like a tank. What I can see at the neck of the tank is disgusting. That being said, that's what fuel filters are for. I'm not terrified of finding out whether or not that fuel filter fills up. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this here shop vac with this here piece of vacuum hose and try and suck all that nasty stuff out of the neck of the fuel tank. Now, this is extremely dangerous on account of if it sucks up gas vapors and it goes into the electric motor of this here shop vac, it will explode. So I'm just gonna push it away from me. But that's this is what we're doing now. It's Saturday night. This is the right night to explode, I guess. So I want to try and get that out of there. I feel like the tank is still okay. I feel like this is the highest point in the tank, and then it just tried to push all that condensation and moisture up to the top. So we're going to try that. We're going to be cautious while we do it. Don't try this at home, and we're going to see if we can put gas in it anyways, because worst case scenario, I'm out $12 worth of fuel.
That shit didn't work at all. It just didn't work because the fuel pump shot. But now we know.
So realistically, we didn't even find out whether or not the contaminants in the fuel system were going to be an issue because the fuel pump wouldn't pick up anything. So it's probably, from what we could see, just a shot pump. So we're going to replace the pump, try again. But that ain't happening tonight, and we've earned our keep. We've already done enough today, so we're going to call it a night. Let's keep in mind Project Bronson. We're not done yet. More on that later. It needs a full cleanup, and then we're going to get it back on the street, so then I'm ready to go keep up with him and do stuff and things. Can't do that until this car moves because I'm literally stuck in the garage. Project Blitz. Motor's sitting right there. Can't do anything because literally there's 2 cars between him, here, and there, and where it needs to be. So we can't do much. So big plan. Make this run. Make it move. It can pull over to the side. Triumph can come out, get cleaned up. I can drive it to work for a few days, and then we can bring Project Blitz back in. Hopefully, get that thing back to the dyno.
Yep.
So lots of things moving. We don't sit still very long, but for Saturday night, I think that's pretty much it. We brought back a car from 15 years of purgatory
in relatively short time with a couple hiccups because it's a Ford and everything's backwards. But whatever.
Yeah, who'd have knew?
Who'd have knew?
But I think that's it for tonight. I can do out.